Hey y'all, Eric Adcock, This Awkward Life. So yeah, I got pulled for jury duty earlier part of this year. Didn't like it, not at all. I've got a big history of my family in law enforcement, so haven't had to do that a whole lot. Maybe one other time before this, but I got out of that. This time, 25 years later, I got picked again, and so I show up at the appointed time, and I was really surprised that they had hundreds of people in the courtroom, and I learned a word called voir dire. Voir dire is when they start asking preliminary questions to the would-be jurors to kind of get a feel for who knows what, who's into this. Maybe somebody's related to one of the people on the docket or whatever. And they ask some questions, and I answer truthfully to everything, obviously. I didn't want to get into any of that. They asked a lot of questions about if I knew any police officers or deputy sheriffs or whatever that were working. They named some cases, and I told them I raised my hand and kind of you have to go through all that and stuff like that. So they picked six. So they're going to pick 6 juries of 12 people, and I'm like, there's no way I'm getting on this. Like, most of these people know me, and there's just no way I'm getting on this jury. So I was pretty confident I wouldn't get picked. Well, lo and behold, I get picked. But I was happy that they picked 6 juries of 12 panelists each. So that's, 6 times 12 is 72. A lot of people. So I'm like, well, there's no way I'll get picked. They won't call there's no way they'll call this panel, And sure enough, they called the panel, And to make a long story short, I got picked for jury duty on this particular case. And it was a serious charge. It was. And we went through the process, and, thank God for the law process and all that. And, it was a unanimous decision on that. And although I didn't like it, I felt like it was over with, Lo and behold, I get I have to call back in, and my panel gets picked again. And this was a very serious case. It was it's a murder case. And I did not want to have to do that. There's nothing in me that it was excited. I didn't like to want to hear I didn't like hearing the case. I didn't like seeing all that. So I was pretty sure I wouldn't get picked. I'd been picked on the case before. And unfortunately, I got picked again. And I'm like, oh, I'm not freaking out. I don't want to do this. Now, let me stop here and say I respect the law. I respect judges and all police officers and attorneys and lawyers. This has nothing to do with the government or the county or anything like that. It's just my personal convictions. I just don't like to do things like that. But anyway, I got picked again, and this was a murder trial, and I didn't know the people involved in it, the one that was being accused of it, or the one that was, I didn't know anybody that was involved in it. And we go to voir dire again. They start asking questions, and I answer, and I'm thinking, well, there's no way I'm going to get picked. I got picked, so. And so we start listening to this trial one day, and I didn't, I was never comfortable about that. I started praying, like, Lord, I'm not comfortable with this, and you know that. I don't want to be here. And the trial went another day, so we had to be there the next day. And so when I walked in when they let the jury go into the next day, the man that was being accused of murder, his dad was in the front row, and I knew his dad. His father's name was never brought out in any of the pre-jury selection hearings like that, but I knew his dad. And I'm like, wow, I really, really don't want to be on this now, I just don't. And listened to all the trials, and I never made eye contact with anybody. I just kind of sat there and I prayed the entire time for day 2 of the trial. And I'm like, Lord, just you've got to do something. you've got to get me. You've got to move me. You got to get me out of this. And we went to recess right before the trial was about to go to recess. And I had been praying all day, ever since I'd seen the dad, the man that I knew. I'm like, I really started praying hard, and I'm like, I need out of this. I just need out of this. I don't know how you're going to do it, but I need out of this. So when the judge turned to us and he said, okay, so I'm going to, we've heard all the evidence, and, here's the verdicts you've got to come back with, and there's verdicts you don't have to come back with. He gives all the instructions on everything that, we could find him guilty of this, this, and this, or you can find him not guilty at all. And, there's a lot of lingo I didn't understand. And so I'm like, I'm fixing to have to do this. And so as I was getting ready to go to recess, the judge, he said, all of y'all can be excused except for you, Mr. Adcock. And I'm like, oh, Lord, what? He said, judge said, I don't know if you know, but you were an alternate on this whole thing, on this whole jury. You were an alternate, and you heard the case and you were here just in case something were to happen to any of the other jurors. He said, so you will not be deliberating with the jury. And let me tell you, that was such a weight off of my shoulders when that judge said, you don't have to deliberate with the rest of the jury. And he thanked me for my time, and he said, Mr. Adcock, you're welcome to sit out in the, I don't know what they call it out there, and listen to the remainder of the trial, or you may be, you're excused. You are dismissed. And I just simply said, where do I leave? How do I? He's like, you can go out the front or out the back. And I went out the back. And just to hear those words from the judge, hey, you've been relieved of all your duties and you may leave. That was one of the biggest, blessings because I did not want to have to deliberate against this man's son that I knew. And I learned the power of a judge. And I learned that when he says, hey, you can go, it's a big feeling. That was a huge feeling. And I thought about the Lord. I thought about how he's going to say to me, welcome, my good and faithful servant. Enter ye into the joy of the Lord. Or if I'm not right, he'll say, depart, I never knew you. But the judge's word was final. I didn't have to answer to anybody else in that courtroom. All I'd had to do was answer to that judge. And I was so thankful when he said, you're dismissed or you're excused. And I just want to encourage people out there that the Lord does work, and he does work quick. And I'm thankful for that. And I pray I never have to do jury duty again.